That could be fun. No, I think we'll check out the Asian education system is insane. Study 20 hours, sleep 4. That sounds like my life during uni.
Do you know that in China, Taiwan, and South Korea, some schools are still open at night? Well, I just found out about this
Like how night? That's very night.
a few days ago when I was doom scrolling on X, and I saw this post saying a very modern high school in Shenzhen, China.
Bright fluorescent light equals very much. Can I just, not relevant to the video at all, can I just say I absolutely hate the obsession with putting these, like, really blue LEDs everywhere. Like, these really cool white LEDs on everything.
Notice anything out of the ordinary, and I did notice something out of the ordinary. The school is still open at night and is still full of students. So post made me wonder, why is this school still open at night? And so I did some research, and
Especially
I
in
found
cars,
many
especially in
things
cars.
that are problematic about this education system, in my own personal opinion, not limited to China, but in the Asian continent in general. And as it turns out, there is this thing called night self-learning, although there are no classes.
Self-learning. I see. It's self-direct. I know, like, Korea, isn't there, like, spending on schooling? Didn't it, like, go up, like, 50% over the past few years?
Classes at night, the students stay at school to study by themselves, and in China specifically, some schools run night study session where students remain on the school campus to complete their homework or to study by themselves. And this is the case in that video. This nighttime activity in school and the likes is not limited to China. Many students in South Korea and Japan and Taiwan and other Asian countries feel that the regular classes are insufficient for them and they need more classes after school, so they seek the services of supplementary education.
Private tutoring market. North America's down here. Asia Pacific. I'm actually surprised that North America is as much as it is. I would have thought it'd be less, but... Oh, I guess this... Yeah, well, here. Honestly, I would have thought this would be less.
Education centers where students attend private tutoring classes, often staying until 9 to 11 p.m. And not only they spend more time and energy studying, they also spend, or their parents spend, more money for these after-school classes.
MEA region. Middle East and North Africa. They just forget the N.
And the reason for this is because the countries that I've mentioned, university exams strongly influence
Middle East
university admission and therefore the career path. And the nature of this exam essentially almost made it seems like that this exam is the single most important point in their life, and the outcome of this exam will influence their success in the future. It's an be-all end-all type of situation, and so when you have so much stake in getting admitted into the good universities, you extract all of the effort in your body to make sure that you succeeded, and that includes studying as hard and as long as possible. I'm not saying that studying after school at night is abnormal. Studying at night in your room by yourself is something that all students...
there's levels to this, right? If you're at school every night until 10 p.m., like if you're like effectively living at school, it's kind of like those jobs that you know, like this is a common thing with Google back in like the early 2010s. Where they would offer you like additional amenities, and effectively people would they would finish work, they'd go to work early, they'd have breakfast at work, then they would finish work, then they'd have dinner at work, and then there would be like, ooh, look, there's like pinball tables and arcades, and you just stay at work later and later and later.
do, and there is nothing inherently bad about it, but it becomes a problem when studying at night at school or the likes of school becomes normalized and almost compulsory, like what happened.
Kind of sounds funny for a group of friends. You can chill and study. I don't think there's going to be much chilling with the way that this is going.
In some of these Asian countries, essentially what these kids do is, I would argue, is worse than these wages working 50 hours a week. At least these wages are getting paid instead of paying to work more. And so why do the student would sacrifice everything to get into these universities? Well, getting to good universities is seen.
Do people
as
actually study during study hangouts? Yes. So like you'd be doing anything but. If you think your entire life is dependent on you getting in a certain university, you're going to be studying.
the only successful path. And so if you don't go into these good universities, you're essentially a failure, and you don't want that to happen. So there is no other choice. It's the only path to success. That's what they think, at least. And there's another reason that leads to this hyper-competitive toxic education system, and that reason being the fear of missing out. When your grades and your placement in your class became the indicator of whether or not you're gonna get admitted into the top universities, you see everyone but yourself as a competition. And so when you see your classmates study for longer and get higher grades, you can help but think that you're not doing enough. And in the context of academical competition, you're losing the battle by getting lower grades. And so the inflation of effort keep going higher. And
right. If everybody is working harder and the grade average is going higher, then you have to work harder to hit the grade average, but then other people are working harder, and then everyone sort of like cycles into this impossible to achieve situation.
Higher and higher until
without spending
it leads to
20
the
hours
point
a day.
of what we have today in these countries. And last but not least, there are students that don't care about education or knowledge. They want to go into these top universities just for the clout and the status symbol, just so that they can put it on their Instagram bio or whatever. And regardless of the major they are applying for, it doesn't matter. You know, what matters is the name of the university.
What the is this a fucking prison cell? Is that just... yeah, that's just a collection of black shirts. Minimalist doesn't mean that you have to live in a prison cell, by the way. Like, that's not what minimalist necessarily means.
That you go to, and regardless of passion and care for the knowledge as well, they just want to go there for the cloud.
Most critical
how it is. Man, I hate Instagram so much. Seeing your classmate from high school
inverted
get
moist
to
critical
top 3 universities in your country, and meanwhile you fail to go into these universities, will hurt your soul. If you're a big FOMO type of person, you might feel you're missing out. You might feel like you're a failure. Not because you will get quote unquote worse quality of education if you don't go into these top universities, but because you cannot flex that you get into
USA. A USA Ivy is not that different. You need to you need the name different. You need the name different. You need the name. Different is in China. If you get in, you will also get money. It can change your social class. Right.
Good university.
Well, the funny thing is, when I hear about a lot of people going to these Ivy League universities, obviously you get the people who are working really, really hard there, but you also get the people who are kind of like, they were paid in, and then they just like go to Yale and just sit there and like smoke weed all day.
And then go to good companies to work as a corporate slave. And you know how ingrained the exam is in South Korea when there are TV shows about studying for the national exam. How crazy is that? Again, I'm not making this shit up. You can look it for yourself. And actually, it's a fun fact. In China, the national exam goes way back to the...
Speaking of unis, not really sure if I should go or not. Frankly, I really don't want to, but feels maybe necessary for a tech job. I don't want to ruin your vision for the future more than it already has. Right? A lot of people are going through uni right now and feel like they've spent the last X number of years like developing these skills and all of this, and now there's AI and they don't know what to do. Like, there's people starting degrees right now, and they're like, I don't know. Is there gonna be a field? Is there going to be a tech field by the time I'm done? What is the job even going to be? In the US, I think the type of people who go to Ivy Leagues for undergraduate are quite different from the type who go only for higher levels of education. Right, yeah.
Sui Dynasty.
Well, I think also if you're going on a scholarship is very different than if you were paid in, like, by your parents, right? If you go to an Ivy League university like Yale, for example, on a scholarship, I imagine you approach that very seriously compared to, like, you know, your parents just, you know, who cares? You just bought your way in. It doesn't matter.
Where people that wanted to work in certain areas of the government need to take entrance tests to get employed. As you can see here, there are ancient painting and ancient task cubicle and extreme measure of cheating prevention. And in fact, many people dedicated their entire life to this exam. And if they fail, it's not uncommon for people to take the exam multiple times and fail times and times again. And that's what happened to the Heavenly Kingdom dude. That the extreme stress due to hyper-competitive environment undoubtedly has destroyed many souls. From self-harm to self-deletion, it's not uncommon to hear cases like these once in a while if you're a student in these countries. And in fact, I had a friend from one of these countries that told me that he had a friend, and my friend had a friend that had a friend from another school that wanted to unalive himself and his family as well as his...
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are like, but I know the numbers are really, really high for people ending their life over education in countries like this.
Friends, because he wasn't getting good enough grade that potentially could get him into the good university. And in fact, I've never heard about high school student wanting to commit seppuku because they got bad grades in any countries except in some Asian countries where the national examination is viewed as...
It actually happened. Something crazy is the numbers are actually on the rise of elementary school students who are taking their lives trying to get into middle school. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, even like the concept of that doesn't even make any sense. But like this is a thing that does happen. I believe it was on the rise in Japan, if I recall.
It's the single most important point in their life, and so there is something needs to be done about it. This education system is a byproduct of the social...
Can you fail to get into middle school? In Japan, you can. You got to test into the better schools.
Economical situation going back to the ancient times in some cases, and to fix it you need to address the root cause, and that's not possible if you're not in the position of power. And even if you're in the position of power, I personally cannot think a way to fix this extremely competitive education system. Well, actually, when I think about it, the most realistic way of fixing this system is to make the university entrance tests less competitive, and how is that achieved is another question to answer.
Yeah, how do we fix the problem? Fix the problem. Just do it.
But yeah, it goes back to the fact that in some of these countries, the status and the wages of the blue collar jobs are not as high as the white collar jobs, although they are changing now in the recent times probably due to the degree inflation. And yeah, I honestly don't have
That's the problem. The degree inflation is a problem that kind of exists everywhere. In Australia, we have one of our main issues for building more property is we don't have enough tradies. We don't have enough tradespeople, because we spend an entire generation basically telling people that if you don't go to university, you're a failure. And like didn't even talk about the idea of trade school. So unless you had a family member who was in the trades, a lot of people didn't even know that was an option. A lot of people didn't even know that going into a trade in most countries is actually going to be good money. Is tradie an Aussie word? Probably. Yeah. We like to give fun little nicknames to things. But like going and being an electrician, that's good money. And you're going to be making good money. So going into a trade, the ceiling is generally lower, but you get to that point far quicker, right? By the time someone graduates university, you're making good money already.
To give you, if you're studying in this education system, other than just accept it. And
by ceiling lower, I don't mean like really low. I mean like you're not gonna make like unless you're owning a business like $300,000 a year, but you're gonna be making a good life as a master electrician.
if you're not studying in this education system, be grateful, okay? Could have had it worse, you know? You know, one of my friends went into these schools and he told me that he was told word by word by his tutor that university exam will decide the course of the rest of his life. You know, imagine the stress that got into him. Imagine telling a 17 years old guy that the exam he was about to take will decide his life for the next 60 to 70 years of his life.
60,
Imagine
70.
that. Thank you guys for watching. Please like this video. I hope you find it informative. This video took me quite a while to make, so I would appreciate if you...
It's trade school where you learn practical skills that could be used for blue collar jobs. Usually it provides you like a pipeline into actually getting the job. You'll usually use that as like a pipeline into apprenticeships. I can't speak for every country, but that's the way it works in Australia at least. Would you go into a trade job or tech? Frankly, at this point, if I was gonna just like reset my path, honestly, a part of me would want to go into a trade. Like, really. Because I do not know how companies are going to continue reacting to AI. And I know we can say, oh, AI is not going to be able to, like, fully solve all of these jobs. A lot of companies are certainly fucking trying. A lot of companies are cutting back on employment. Like, during COVID, you really had a lot of bargaining power as someone, even just like a junior, you had a lot of bargaining power for getting into a job. Companies were massively hiring. Now that's gone the complete opposite direction. A lot of places cut employees. They are not hiring now. And you've also got to compete with seniors who can do the junior's job as well as their own job, right? Honestly, like, a trade doesn't seem like that bad of an idea if you're willing to do the work.
You give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my new video. I'm trying to get monetized. I'm almost halfway there. I need 1,000 subs, so please, I need all the help. And yeah, that's about it. Peace.
It was a good video. What trade would you pick specifically? I actually wanted to be an electrician when I was younger. The only reason I didn't is because I came across software development in high school. That's pretty much the only reason I didn't. Right now, do tech because you actually love tech, not because it's been a historically well-paying job. It's kind of like where it's gone, isn't it, right? For a long time, it was like, go get a programming job if you want to make good money. Now it's become, it's kind of like... You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like education. You go into education because you love education. You don't go into it because it's going to make you a lot of money.